Okay. So, quick review. We kind of continued going through the tool stuff. We've got a few more of those left to do. Then we'll go and I'll show you a few more things up here. I'll try to get done today. We might go a little bit into tomorrow, but we'll see what we can do. Okay. Please pay attention. Okay. Just watch what I'm doing up here. You'll have time. I know this is a lot of information, and I don't, like I said yesterday, I don't expect you guys to learn all this just from watching me. You're gonna actually do it for yourself, and you'll have plenty of time to do that. But just watch what I do first, okay? The pen tool right here. Again, it's not something that you will probably use, but you might want to. I'll just show you real quick. The pen tool basically creates a series of points, and when you make more than one point and connect them, it creates what's called a path. Okay, so if I see I left clicked there and I made 2 points and it connected them with this path. If you hold down the path, if you hold down the point and you drag, you can create a curve. You can go up or down. You can make kind of a bendy curve, whatever you want to do. It's called a Bezier curve. All right. You can come back around, make some more points if you want. And if you close the path, you will create a shape. I'll go ahead and close this. You see how that cursor changes? Now, you can add more paths, more points on this path if you want to. Like you see the little plus symbol? If I click on there, I can create another point and then pull the handle out. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Now, a path is something that is rendered with something called a vector. Vector-based graphics are based on a mathematical algorithm. They're not raster-based or pixel-based. So what that means is that if you have a vector-based image, it will retain the same resolution whether you do it really big or really small. You could have it be this big, or you could blow it up the size of a billboard and it would be the same size. And there's a program called Adobe Illustrator that uses vector-based images. I find vector-based stuff to be a little advanced for beginners. It takes some practice to get used to using them. So that's why I generally keep things raster-based on this assignment. And that's why we kind of use Photoshop. All right. Now, what can we do with this? What's the point of this? Well, we can either right-click on this and, like I said, we can edit this path. We can also turn it into a selection, like so. We can also stroke the path or fill it with a color. For some reason, that's graying out right now. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's try it now. Nope, still doing it. I'm going to delete this path and make another one. And see if we can have more. luck with that. So this is, nice if you want to say, I don't know, make a shape and fill a color inside of it, and then, um, put some text over it or whatever. The other handy thing that it does is that if you select the text tool and click on this, you can, so let me change the color of that so you can see it better. It's doing it again. Sorry, got to change the point size and the color of this. All right, so you can use a path to type. So if you want to do like a wavy text or something, you can do something like that if you want. Then I could, like I said, I could edit this path. I could select it. And edit it further if I want to. I could make it a selection. Then I could go edit fill. And I could, or stroke, and I could do other stuff to it. All right, so that's basically all paths are. I won't spend any more time on it. It's just something that you can play with if you want. All right, the next one is the custom shape tool, which basically will draw shapes that are vector based. You can either choose one of these presets here, like creating a layer. You can do like a rectangle or a circle. Selected area is empty. Oh, because I have this selection active. That's why. A dirt. Okay. See, and now it's automatically going to fill this with whatever my foreground color is. In this case, it's yellow. But again, let's go back to the text tool. See, this is a path, and if I want to, because this is vector based, it will maintain its integrity. I can stroke it, I can do whatever, and I can also put text along it if I want to. Okay. And there's other shapes here. If I go down to the I can go up here and select from, arrows and music notes and other things if I want to. I can also, oops. Should I choose do the line tool, and I can also adjust the paths here if I want to, make the line thicker or thinner. Also bundled with this is the line tool, which will allow me to draw lines, either diagonal, vertical, or horizontal. And again, those are all vector based. Okay. So that's all that does. Next is the hand tool, which is basically just something that you can pan, grab the image and just drag across. so you don't have to use these little navigation bars down here. And then there's the zoom tool, which we've already been over, just zooms in and out. Hold down Alt to zoom out. Or you can go up here and change between the two. All right, so that's the basic rundown of the toolbar. We skipped some because you don't need to know them all. Let's go back up here. I'm going to delete this text. And I'm just going to go through and very quickly, as I talk to you about a couple more things, I'm going to basically design one side of this box like I would do it if it were mine, and that might help give you some insight. All right, so remember the assignment. You are choosing a theme, and then you're designing the side of your box based on that theme. And each side has to have activities on it, all four sides. You can't have like a blank side. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you want lots of content, and I'll have real world examples of boxes that I can show you that you can work from. All right. So on this template, basically you've got this side and this other side. The bigger ones are kind of what you call the front and the back of the box. So that's probably where you're going to want to have your more predominant things like your logos and stuff. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is get my assets together, which I've already done, in a folder. So in my resources folder, I have a couple of logos that I found. Well, I have several. I have like some fast food logos, and there's McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. So I can choose one of those logos, but I also found the logo for the actual cartoon that I'm basing this on. So I'm going to go ahead and select a couple of logos here, and let's do, I'm in a Wendy's mood. Let's do Wendy's, and last time I did Burger King. So let's bring these over. Okay, now, again, I was smart and I chose images that were already on a blank background. So all I have to do is get my magic wand tool, click once on the background, and then go to select inverse. Now I have my whole logo selected. I can either Control C to copy, then Control V to paste, like that, or I could have dragged it over with the move tool. Either way. I have this weird little robot thing down here. I don't know what that is, or alien. So I'm just going to select it and delete it. Okay, so now I've got my Batman logo, which helps to identify what it is that I am advertising here. Very important. You definitely want to have that. And then you want to have your restaurant logo. Now, if you'll notice, there's this checkerboard in the background. That means that the background is transparent. Okay, so I don't need to do anything to this. It's already, if I were to drag this over right now, it will already be on a, which is good. So I can literally take the move tool and drag that right on top. And there it is, all clean and ready to go. It does, however, need to be scaled because it is pretty huge. So I simply go to Edit, Transform. This is where all of my things like where I can rotate things, make things bigger, smaller. I can make things look all distorted and warped. I can rotate them clockwise or counterclockwise. I can flip them. All right, see, I can flip it horizontal and it's backwards. I'm going to do that. I can, right now we'll scale it first just because it's so big. Hold down Shift to constrain the proportions. And you want this fairly visible, but you don't want it huge. Okay? So something like that is probably good. And I can choose, I mean, I can maybe put this in the corner. Hopefully I have a sketch already that I've already made that I can base this off of. But if not, you know, maybe I'll put that there. And maybe I'll scooch the Batman over a little bit. Or maybe we can figure something out with the Wendy's. And quick note, it is probably best to name these layers. So name this, instead of layer 13, I'll call it Wendy's logo. Hit enter. I'll call this Batman logo. Hit enter. So that way, if I need to go back to it, I can find it pretty easily. All right, so you just want to start bringing some assets into this once you have your background covered. Now, yesterday I talked to you a little bit about paste intos, right? Where I pasted the image into the background, and I said, you know, be careful that you want to definitely make this your own thing. Don't just steal somebody else's art. You know, you still want to be thinking about designing. Okay. Same thing applies with this. Okay. Yes, someone else designed this logo. Okay. Or these logos. All right. But how I arrange these and how I use color and other aspects are still things that I can contribute to this. So, for instance, on this Batman logo, I can go in and change the color on the lettering if I want to. I can change certain aspects of this if I want. I don't have to just leave it as is. I can change the scale. I can play with the composition. I kind of like that overlapping just slightly. So maybe I want to bundle those two together. Maybe I'll go back and center this again like I had it, except just barely overlap the Wendy's logo on top. All right. Now I'm going to bring some images into this. So I would go back to my assets folder. Hopefully I have other things saved. I found these funky little like chibi versions of the characters that I kind of dig. So I could potentially use some of those. Again, not my art, but you know, they're on a white background. I dig it, you know, so like I could select the white, do select inverse, and I can pick and choose which one of these I want to do. If I only want one, then what I would do is I would just get my marquee tool, hit Alt, and I would drag select the ones I don't want, like that. And then just drag over the ones that I do want. And again, I can either move them with the move tool or copy paste. There they are. And if I want to move these individually, I simply, because they're all in the same layer, I simply drag them, drag select each one, and then I can move it individually. I can scale these up or down. Okay, oops, I forgot. Got a little white there inside his arms. Whoops. Shift, hit delete. There we go. All right, so I got to think about what am I going to do with these. Um, am I going to separate them and make an activity? I need to go and be real careful here and when I select these other three. I'm probably going to want to put all of these on separate layers. So I probably should have brought them over individually, but whatever. As long as they're far enough apart, I can go in and select them individually and move them around. So, I could do like Batman, scale him up a little bit. Um, you know what? I'm just going to delete these other two for now. I'll just deal with Batman and Nightwing. Hit delete, and go away. All right. Now I can go in and add some shapes and some text. So, a couple ways I can do that. The easiest way is to simply get like the marquee tool, either the rectangular or the elliptical. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to click and drag a circle, kind of big. Put it behind like this. Going to go edit, fill. Hit OK. I'm going to drag this beneath the character layer so it overlaps like so. And now I'm going to get my text tool. I'm going to change the color. Up here is where you change your font. All right, there's all these fonts that come with Photoshop. Or you can download some. I have included a bunch in the assets folder that you can access. Here's where you change the size and the alignment. And here's the color. Click on this, you get another color picker, or you can choose it down there. I'm going to go with like a red text for now. Now what I do is I click and I drag, and it's going to look like I'm making a selection, but what I'm really doing is creating a text field. All right, you see that little blinking cursor? Now whenever I type anything, it's going to stay within the boundaries of that rectangle. So I can just start, la 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 la, and it's going to stay inside there, right? So here's where I would go back and, say, oh, Nightwing. And the great thing about this is that I can drag the text a little, the field a little bit, and change the size even after I've typed it. So if I need to make it a little bigger, okay, I can change the alignment to aligned, to the right or to the left. When I'm done, I simply click off the tool. I can move it around, can do whatever I need to do. If I ever want to go back and edit this later, I simply get the text tool, I click back on the text, then I can reselect it. Let's say I want to make this smaller. Let's go to 10 points. And let's bring this down like that. Oh, maybe not that far because the G is a little screwed up. Okay. And I can do that with Batman. See how I'm taking already existing assets, but I'm making a new design out of it? I am now using things like shape and color and overlapping, and I'm creating a new design out of something else, right? I'm not just slapping some art on a side of a box and then saying, okay, I'm done. I'm trying to think about the negative space between these elements. Like I'll probably put another circle over here. So the great thing about Photoshop is if I have the move tool selected, I can right click on an element and it'll give me a listing of everything that's underneath where I clicked. If I go to select layer 13, that is where my other rectangle was. Instead of making a new one, I can simply duplicate this layer like so. Now I have, whoop, nope. Let's go to layer 13 copy. Boom, I've got another one there. Now maybe I'll put this down here. And now I'll put some more text down here about Batman. Right, so I am, and I'll put some other things in here. All right, so I am making an all new design out of my head based on my design skills. Okay? That's what I'm wanting you guys to do. All right, so let's talk for a little bit about filters, which you have sort of gone over back when we did the stipple project and I told you guys how to do like filters on your photos. Let's go back to that because I feel like this needs something like some texture or something. So again, because I am doing a comic book styled theme, one thing that I can do is I'm going to add some halftone patterns. So I'm going to select, go back to my background copy, select face of the box again. I'm going to create a new layer. And then I'm going to get the gradient tool, which we went over yesterday. And I'm going to make sure that that gradient tool is set to foreground color to transparent, not foreground to background. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just over here in the corners, I'm going to just put a little bit, I got to drag this on top of this layer. Sorry. Okay. Just going to add a little bit of color accents in the corners, something that's just very gradual and that fades out. All right. I don't want to do it across the whole thing. Maybe down here in the corners. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to filter. Bring up filter gallery. You guys remember this? Okay. Now I'm going to go under sketch and I'm going to go to this halftone pattern filter. Let me zoom out a little. Well, I can't because if I do that, it's going to pause the recording. All right. Let's take the size. Yeah, I kind of like that the way it is. All right. Keep it on dot. Hit OK. Okay. Now see what it did? It basically gave me some little halftone patterns, which I kind of like. I think it goes with this because, again, it's a comic booky kind of a bright color kind of a theme. Okay, so see already I have managed to use several elements and principles of design on this box. I have done shape, I have done space, I have done color, I have done texture. Okay, and I'm going to still keep adding more to this. I'm going to put some lines in here now. And to do that, I need to talk about layer style. Now I could go in and individually select these yellow circles and then go up to edit, stroke, and then stroke them individually. But another quicker way to do it is with layer style. All right, so I'm going to go back to layer 13 and layer 13 copy right here. Now, because these are both on the same layer, I mean, not the same layer, they are, I can put them on the same layer. They're not yet. I'm going to merge them down. So if I just merge down, it's going to merge the layer that's above it with the layer directly below it. Now they're both on the same layer. Now I can double click on the layer. Don't double click on the name because that'll bring up the, that'll make it think you want to rename the layer. Double click somewhere out here or above the text, and this window will pop up, layer style. And you're going to see all these options here: bevel emboss, contour, stroke, inner outer glow, etc. I'm going to choose stroke. And whenever you do that, you can then double click on the name and it'll bring up parameters for changing the color, the size, etc. I'm going to go with, I don't want to make it too bright and busy, but I'll see what a green looks like. Or an orange. Let's go with an orange. Okay. So that's my color. Now I can change the size. Watch what happens when I slide the size things. You see how big it's getting? Okay. So I added an orange outline to my circles. And because both of those are on the same layer, it's doing both of them at the same time. So it'll apply that style to anything on that one layer. Okay. So you can actually save time by consolidating some layers. And like if you have several shapes that you want stroked at once, make sure they're all on the same layer, and then it'll do it all in one fell swoop. Okay. Let's do drop shadow. Click on that. Double click. Now, it's not showing up now, but watch what happens when I hit the distance. See that? The spread and the size. Okay, I can make it softer or whatever. Okay. I can also change the angle that the light's coming from. I can make it come from the side. I can make it come from up top or down below. Okay. So now I am giving illusion of depth, which is another design element. Kind of like it coming from that way. And I want to bring the distance in a little bit more, like that. Okay. You can also do something called an outer glow. Let's go to the Wendy's logo. I feel like this needs to pop out a little bit. I'm going to add a layer style to that. And again, I could add a drop shadow to it. But that's too much in my opinion. I think even if I were to change this, I probably, I don't know, it might work. I sort of feel like that's too much. So instead, I'm going to uncheck this. And I'm going to go with an outer glow, which is right here. Click on it. Take the opacity down a little bit. Take the spread down just a hair. Take the opacity back up a smidge. Something like that. Okay. Now that pops a lot more. That stands out from the background, right? And I could even do the same thing with the Batman logo. Let's do the same deal. Add layer style to that. Outer glow. I might want to make that a little stronger. Okay. All right. Now this is starting to look like something, right? It's starting to get, I mean, this is kind of looking professional. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but, you know, just these few little steps are really making a big difference in how your designs will start looking. All right. So I'm not done. I need to add more content here. I'll probably want to add a little something down here as well. Remember, you want to inform your audience about what this is. You have to assume that they don't know what Batman is, or who Nightwing is, or who the characters are. So you need to come up with fun activities for your age group that are appropriate, but also come up with stuff that tells people like kind of like the story or the basic concept of your theme. Okay. I think the bell's going to ring in a couple minutes. So, does anyone have any questions or anything? One other thing I want to show you really quickly, if I can get through it, is the select mask option. Sometimes when you are, I'm going to bring Robin back into this real quick. Sometimes when you have to separate things from a background and you're using the quick select tool, you'll find that your edges are like a little choppy, and you need to clean them up. And here's a really quick way of doing that. So let's say I want Robin here getting ready to throw a punch on some bad guy, and I, do my usual thing of, copying and pasting. But, the edges are too rough. They're not even enough. I can do something called, up here in Select, called Select and Mask. See how it kind of fades out the background? Now look here, you see like where that line is, where I missed these outlines? It's showing me through this, like kind of how it's going to look once I bring it over and paste it. So I can really quickly go in here and smooth out the rough edges. I can add a little bit of contrast, and I can also shift the edge, which is handy. So I can make the selection extend out several pixels or come in several pixels, and hit OK. And then that should smooth it out enough to where I can bring it over into my box again by either copying and pasting or just dragging it over like so. All right, I still got a little work to do there. You see, I've still got those missing edges. So what I would do then is I would simply just delete this layer, go back to the original, bring up, select and mask again, and just keep playing with it until it matches what I want. Okay? So that's basically it for today. I think we have gotten through pretty much everything that we need to get through. So for tomorrow, please make sure that you have your sketchbooks with you and that you start thinking about what you're going to do. Have your computers as well. If you haven't already decided on your theme, I'll give you a little time tomorrow to work that out and to do some sketching in your sketchbooks, do thumbnails of each side of your box. And think about activities like mazes, word finds, crossword puzzles, spot the difference, you know, where you go in and you look at, you know, you take two of the same image and you make small alterations to one of them and, you know, see which one, you know, compare them, you know, stuff like that. Think of fun stuff to do. There are lots of websites that will generate like word finds and stuff and mazes for you, um, that are kind of cool. All right. So start thinking about that tonight, and tomorrow make sure you have something to draw with, and you have your computer so you can start finding assets and saving them to a folder. All right.